Good morning, Bananimators. Tracy Strong here, friendly neighborhood animation generalist. And today I'm going to start a kitchen drawing and show you how I lay out my rough. And then next week, I'm going to go through and show you how I take this rough drawing and refine it. So I'm going to take that kitchen I drew the other day when I did super quick one, and I just kind of break down the steps a little bit more and give a little bit more insight to the stuff I'm thinking of along the way. Today, I'm going to, again, just take a little background that I found. This is from a Pinterest thing called AI in Environments or AI Locations? AI Interiors. So if this is AI, we can take it and steal it. It has no copyright protection because it's made by robots and not people. They steal from us, we're going to steal right back. So AI, free to steal because that's not real art. Come for me in the comments. I like the engagement. So I think I just like the colors of this one. I don't even think it's a special kitchen of any sort of kind. I think the colors are just appealing to me. But I want to make a kitchen, and I find it easier, even if I'm not going to use the reference verbatim, I'm not going to do a study of this, I can steal kind of the elements that I like about it. So let's think about our little, I'm going to be working in sort of a rectangular format because I work in television. I'm going to widen this up because it's too narrow. So I'm going to give her a nice kitchen. I'm still going to do the 1 point. Boop. My little nib is fraying. I use felt nibs. I don't know if you know, but your Wacom tablet, you got these little things. You can turn it and open it, and there's extra nibs inside. People didn't know that at the studio I worked at, and I went around and took all the felt nibs out of them because they're my favorite. You can buy felt nibs though. I think Staples sells them now. They used to get them from Wacom, but boop. You always want to you don't want to use a nib for too long because it can turn into a shard and like bust up your screen. So I'm going to give myself a back wall. I find that's the easiest thing you do when I'm doing 1 point, because otherwise I'll be like, where am I going? I do not know. And that'll give us what we need to find this corner. Now, if we want to do the polygon tool, sure do like that. And it's going to give us all of our lines. Now, the downside to the polygon tool is the center gets just very, very big. So you want to make sure you have a solid location for that vanishing point actually done in your brush. Like this is pretty janky. You want to be tight on the biggest things, because if your big things start to get a little bit out of sorts, then your little things will follow. All right. Now we've got our little thing. So what do I like about this? I like that there is a stove over here. So I'm going to make one of these a stove. And I'm going to think about my character. So if this is, 10-foot ceilings, let's say this is like a bougie place, so it has big ceilings, then our character could be this big. Boop. Need a bigger eraser. Ugh, that's not an eraser at all. Okay, so there's our character. I should draw her on another line. This is why I warm up in the morning, because it takes a little minute for your brain to get revved up and functional. So I'd rather do a little 10 or 20 minute failed drawing before I start work than start failing at work. Okay, here's a character. Now I can work around. I can make her less. Okay, now we're cooking. So if you think about where your stove lines up on your body, right? Your stove isn't here. You don't reach up to put your stuff on your stove. It's down here. So now that I have a character, I can say, okay, it's about hip high. This is where that back counter is going to be, because the character is lined up with it. See? I feel like her legs are too short. Lower it a little bit because she has short legs. Boop. So now we know this is the front of our stove. We can kind of decide how wide our stove is. And I've put my perspective, my horizon line a little lower. I don't think I like that anymore. So I'm going to actually just lower the floor. It's the easiest way to do that. Boop. Bring my floor down. I might decide I want it a little bigger. Then I can bring my character down to sit on the floor. And now the ceilings are even higher, but bougie, it's fine. So let's see. This is her hip height. So we can say this is the front of our stove here. And now we can raise up our stove. Decide that's the back of our stove there. And that'll give us a little bit of an island back here. It's not as big as what's in the thing, but like I said, this reference is just because I want to remember what a kitchen looks like at all. And that seems a little bit silly. Like, I know what a kitchen looks like, but I don't. Like sometimes I'm drawing something and I'll be like, okay, I need a sink, for example. And then I'll be like, okay, what part of the kitchen is the sink in? And I'll start thinking about different people's kitchens I'll be in. But in general, the sink tends to be towards the back of the house. I'm gonna move my stove up a little bit farther this way, give myself a little bit more counter room. So usually the kitchen is facing the back of the house, and the living room is facing the front of the house. It's not always the case. In most apartments buildings I've been in, the kitchen has been more towards the center of the room, like in a bachelor. But for like a house, detached house, they tend to be in the back. So we can have the back window here. That's got quite a big window, which I like. Just trying to see what I like about it. Like, I love the idea of a massive window in a kitchen where you can... Actually, I might even make this a little booth you could sit in to enjoy the big window. I'm going to say that the fridge is here, like somewhere off screen. So I don't really want to draw a fridge today. But you do have to think about where it would be. So if we do this, we can build a little cool little booth for my character to sit in. Boop, and then we can put a table in there. Table has to be higher than the seat, right? So if this is where you're sitting and this is where the table lines up with the thing, then the table has to be higher than the seat. Little things like that seem really obvious when you're saying them, but when you're drawing and you're trying to think about perspective and you know, making sure that your forms are the right shape and that you're following the perspective grid, you'd be amazed how many just obvious things just slip right out your brain out the back while you're busy doing other things. I'll put a little something here. I don't know what that is, but something needs to be there. You need some counter space, and there needs to be a sink. Sink's usually over by the window, so the sink can be here. A little bit. We're gonna need more storage, so I'm gonna put some overhead cabinets. This has like a stove hood, which, I mean, all stoves should have a stove hood. It's gonna keep your house from getting nasty. Boop, boop. So this is 1 point, so this is gonna be just straight across like this, and we can figure out where the back is by bringing up our stove. So we have our little boopy boop, just to show that this is a stove. The back of the stove usually comes off the kitchen like this. And now we're starting to get some idea of what we're doing. So we won't see too much of the top of this. I'd probably put some buttons here. Boop. That's where the back of that is going. This doesn't have a... I like this brush, but it's kind of an all or nothing brush. I'm going to use some tones to just start to differentiate things so that I can see it a little bit easier. You can see, I think, now how big this ceiling actually is. Let's do kind of one of these windows, where a bay window. I like this like angled roof. So I might even take that and give myself a forced angle like that. So we'll take off that part of roof, give us this part, and then we can add some big beams. Because I don't have a lot of ceiling, I'm not going to spend a lot of time figuring out exactly how far across these beams are. That just feels good where it is. I'm just going to keep that ceiling. We do need lights. So that's another thing when you're creating a little environment. Maybe I will create a little storage area up here. Boop. With some decorative stuff or things that are not needed often. We need a ladder to get up there. Like, this is a huge kitchen, but I like that it's really spacious. That's what I'm going for. I'm also going to put just some decorations. Like, this is a home, people who live here, paintings and decorations and stuff. Maybe we could put, there's not a lot of cupboard space. Like, we have this stuff over here. This, we're going to have some sort of storage. Maybe it can be one of those little rolly islands, like a butcher block top with like little wheelies, because this kitchen doesn't have enough storage, even though it's massive. Doesn't make sense. The sink. And there's more cupboards here. So we'll say there's a little bit more storage over here. Those are pantry. We'll put a fridge, so that way like food happens. I'll put a little pantry off screen over here so that food exists in this house. Let's see. They have a lot of plants I like. So we can hang from some from the ceiling. Give ourselves like some little dangly bits, right? Let's actually have it all kind of piled in together. And maybe we have some hooks where the greenery has been allowed to like really take over. Maybe this is some sort of creeping herb and you can just grab some little leafies and make delicious food. Because we're short on space, we're probably going to have like bowls of things like fruits. I love having a little bouquet of like spatulas and spoons and stuff. That tells us what the room is for. We can have a little spice rack over here. You gotta have your spices. You gotta season your food. TikTok has been mercilessly yelling at me not to eat just boiled vegetables. Okay, choose just what I was taught as a child. And there's more storage up here. We can make another little shelf. So let's say it has to be just above there. We have more storage space for whatever we want up here. Maybe just like the big bags of stuff. And also, I think between the fridge and this, I'm going to have like a little ladder. That way, like, how do you get to all this stuff? Oh, there's a ladder. And then we're going to put a little mat just to make it look nice here. And then outside, we've got a garden. So we got some trees this side, and then maybe some bushes sticking up here. There's a little shed out there. I'm imagining the comic I'm never going to finish. It's a big garden out there. So I'll work on that as I tighten it up a little bit. Back here, I'm going to have a little space between the couch. So I'm going to have to, when I work out my next version, which I don't have time to do today, I'm going to make sure that the floor, like there's a gap between here and here. And then we can put more plants back there. Let's see, is there anything else I want to steal? I think the counter space will actually look a little bit bigger once I tighten up my lines and I make things a little bit smaller. So everything's kind of chunky right now. Oh, lights. I do need a light. So here's the center of the table. We can just go straight up and we can just bring a light down. Let's just make a circle. Boop. It's kind of in front of this. We don't want a tangent, so we're going to have to think about how that lines up. But in this world, we have a lot of these. They're like glowing orb things that are like magic. We're going to need like some little crystals and stuff. There's always crystals in this little imagined world. We can definitely put some shelves over here just to busy it up. So if the shelf is here and it comes out that, I'm going to have a few shelves coming in front of our stove hood. And then we can, again, fill that with junk once we get it sorted a little bit. So that little ramble, that's kind of the things I think about when I'm stealing from a reference. Maybe I'll even take the colors from something like this, or I'll find a few different references. I might even find something that's not a kitchen, where I just really enjoy the colors. Like I'll just go through and maybe even find a ball gown or something like this and be like, oh, I like those colors. Like, you know, this feels really like beachy and calm. Like maybe these are good colors. So I'll copy this image and paste it and this, and then I'll go and crystallize it. Great big fat crystals. Like, now that's my color scheme for this background. So if I was doing just slapdash version, we'd have, okay, like the lightest lights I'm going to use is, let me add a layer. Yeah, not working on the same layer. So I do something like this, where I'm like, okay, my ceiling and my cupboards are going to be like this white, this sort of flower color. Oh, let's do the flower color here, like where, I don't know where they got this thing. Then of course we have all these little flower colors. We can start using that for stuff like this, like maybe some of them are darker, like that. This color I like, we can use that for the walls over here. Maybe these walls are different color. People like to do that. I don't know why. And then outside, like maybe that'll, if we haven't designed this yet, it'll give us an idea of where we should put our trees. Do a little bit of darker countertop, I like that. Maybe do this. What colors are we not using? That's not contrasty enough. That one's better. And maybe a sky color. That's nice. This we need a little bit more. We can put, you know, or maybe some dishes. We can put that up here. And we just take these colors and kind of move them around. Boop. So this like fractal pattern on the ground, I'm like, I kind of like it. But I think it'd be better to have wood floors. And maybe get like a dark over here. And we could use the light again for this. Maybe we'll do a steel stove. Stainless steel. Or we want it to be old. We'd go with white. This is an old busted up stove. And then my cupboards now feel a little bit less contrasty. So let's do like, maybe like that. The white back here, I'm gonna just put a backsplash of tiles. There. So now we have a beautiful background and we have our color scheme. And we used reference by just having it there to help us remember, like maybe, the stove is on the left, the seating is on the right, things like that. But we didn't copy the reference. We're not using what they have. We're just using it as inspiration. We're just taking some of the little elements in there. And then for colors, I'm not good at coming up with color schemes or like color theory. So I just steal colors. I took that beachy scene, so it didn't look anything like what I was drawing, but the colors looked nice. I didn't even use it vertical, like the right way up, right? Like this is the sky and this is the beach. But then when I get rid of it, I'm like, now I have a background that has sort of a beachy, cozy vibe, right? So it's just the stealing. So that's it. I gotta get to work now. But maybe next I'll take this same background and I'll do a more refined pass and kind of talk about the things I'm thinking about there and refine the perspective a little bit more. That'd be fun. Thanks for dropping by. Like, share, subscribe, all those things internet people ask you to do, and I will see you in the next video.